Well, welcome back. We've got Joplin Police Department's Captain Austin Wolf in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So I know scams are something that we talk about a lot of different ones, but one of the ones that, I see more and more often, I think that is probably concerning for you guys, are scams that are involving kind of law enforcement.
That's right. We're seeing this not only locally, but nationally. These scams where people call and pose as some sort of a law enforcement officer are becoming very, very popular, and they're really taking people for a lot of money.
Yeah. So can you tell us, what some of these scams may look like?
Absolutely. There's some characteristics that we can look at with scams, but particularly with people posing as law enforcement, there's some things that we can look at. And there's three real big key points to keep in mind. When you're contacted by these scammers, oftentimes they're going to instill some fear or an anxiety right off the bat to kind of get the conversation going. And a lot of times these fears or anxieties they try to instill look like the person that they're calling has a warrant for their arrest, they're going to be incarcerated, or a loved one may have a warrant for their arrest or will be incarcerated if action's not taken immediately over the phone. Mm-hmm. And what they'll try to do is they'll try to put a timeline on it immediately, and the timeline is very, very small. They're going to want the caller, the person they're trying to scam, to hurry up and get this taken care of financially. And they're going to say if it's not done by this time, that fear or anxiety will happen. Mm-hmm. And so then they will send them out to do some strange payments to take care of it. That is non-traditional ways of taking care of different bills, such as having the person pay in Bitcoin or by gift cards and give the person that's calling, posing as law enforcement, those numbers on the gift cards to take care of those warrants or whatever fear or anxiety they're trying to instill.
Mm-hmm. And is it common, for people for law enforcement to call people and, request this sort of thing?
It is not traditional, and it is not common for law enforcement to call somebody and especially request personal information. We don't call people and tell them something's going on and then immediately begin to ask them their date of birth, their social security number, and their address. Oftentimes we already know that information, but some key tips to kind of avoid it. If that fear or anxiety, you don't recognize it as a scam, hang up the phone. Call your local law enforcement agency or the agency that the caller says that they're from and verify that it is in fact an officer of that agency. But if you discover it's a scam, reach out to local law enforcement if you need to, especially if you're out any money, but let local law enforcement know that the scam is local.
Yeah, and I know that's such an important thing is, these sorts of scams, something you guys are seeing here locally here in the 4 states.
100%. And this time of year is tax time. So the scams with people that are posing as IRS agents, those chances are going to go up. So the big thing is slow down. Oftentimes if law enforcement's calling, it's not to let somebody know they have a warrant or that they're going to be incarcerated. And they're certainly not going to ask for private information. So slow down, kind of start to see the signs that this doesn't sound right. And if it doesn't sound right, it's probably not right.
And like you said, there's no harm if it doesn't sound right, hanging up and asking for help or calling to check.
We absolutely recommend that. Give your local law enforcement a call or the agency that they say they're with just to validate to see if it's a scam or not.
Well, that's such important information. I'm hoping people at home are listening and, can hopefully stay alert and stay ahead of these scammers who are bad actors.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much, Captain Wolf, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.